Surrounding a missing CDC scientist, it's getting murkier. The CDC and Atlanta police are clashing over what happened on the day that Timothy Cunningham disappeared nearly 30 days ago. Atlanta police held a news briefing back on February 27th saying they didn't have much evidence, really, that all of Cunningham's belongings, including his car, wallet, and keys, were in his home, and that searches in the surrounding areas didn't turn up anything. They also said that on the same day Cunningham went missing, he had some sort of meeting at work about why he didn't get a promotion. Now, the CDC, his work, is saying that's simply not true, and that Cunningham had been promoted back in July. Police have fired back, though, saying they stand behind their statement and that their information came directly from the CDC. Joining me now is retired FBI agent Bobby Chacon. And probably, Bobby, you're used to this kind of back and forth, probably a little bit of politics and HR stuff going on here. What do your FBI instincts tell you about this case?
Well, my first instinct is that whatever happened, he chose to make it happen. He either disappeared on his own to cause harm to himself or just to be away from everything. I don't think this is a case where he was abducted because of his work or that there was foul play other than himself. That's my first instinct. I think that the focus on whether or not he was promoted is somewhat immaterial. In the government, people are promoted every 2 or 3 years because of longevity. That could be what the CDC is referring to last July. Clearly, something happened at work more recently. The day he disappeared, some of his co-workers said he was upset about something. He had called into work sick the 2 prior days. He made a comment to one of the neighbors that was somewhat bizarre, and now his parents have said, there was a drastic change in him in the days leading up to his disappearance. So something was bothering him. Now, what was bothering him is somewhat, a side issue. We need to find him. Hopefully he's okay, or in any event, find him. So I think that the focus should be on, if he had any means to transport himself, if he left on foot. So I think to this point, I think the ground searches are still an effective method of maybe coming into a resolution. The air, I think the surrounding area of his house or other places he may have frequented, that he could have gotten on by foot, I think is the place to focus right now.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that because, for us novice, investigators at home, we're wondering where could he be and where else can investigators look, because they've seemingly exhausted all of those areas, right? They've looked at his digital footprint.
Right.
They've talked to all acquaintances, and the family and everybody that knows him say he's just not the type of guy that would just walk off and leave everybody and everything he loved behind.
Right, except that we do know there was a marked change in his behavior. His parents referred to it as drastic. So when someone wants to do something to themselves or harm themselves and not be found, we had a very similar situation to this years ago in the FBI office here in Los Angeles where an agent was depressed. He walked himself up into the Santa Monica Mountains, did not want to be found, and then ultimately took his own life, and it took us months to find him. And we had the sheriff's department out searching with helicopters. We had ground searches going on for months. So, there was clearly something in his behavior pattern that changed. So even though he might not have been the type of person that would do something like this, clearly there was a change, and something precipitated that change and led to the behavior that, we see may have resulted in him disappearing.
All I know is waiting without word is agony, and I can imagine it just must be just terrible for family and friends. Bobby Chacon, you've been really generous with your time. Good to talk to you. Thanks so much.